I think that could easily happen to anybody, whether it's a working mom or someone who chooses to work remotely, because if there is a mandate for people to come back into the office, there will be functions that aren't going to be hybrid friendly. We will be left behind.
Return to office, the way I like to think about it is return to team, because it's really, for my teams, it's not about going to a building. And there's a lot of rumors about, we need to justify real estate costs across these industries, and I'm sure all of our companies would love to get rid of their expensive buildings if they could. So I really think about it as return to team and return to that human connection, and really thinking about people being able to be together again and really benefit from that human connection and all that comes with that.
I love that you said that the stats really do show it, because my first inclination or reaction to the topic of working moms, I was like, well, why aren't we talking about working dads? It's working parents that actually deal with this problem, but yet it falls on the mom. So you're right in terms of that's what society puts on us. For me, return to office really is about flexibility. We definitely reframed it. We showed at Rufus how we succeeded in working incredibly productively during the pandemic, and we're still in it. But the fact that we could come back into the office and it includes flexibility, that to me is a game changer. And that's something that we didn't have that type of perspective 3-4 years ago. And so I really look forward to seeing how this evolves. And we're all learning as we go too. There is no right or wrong answer. I think it's about trying it out and keeping an open mind. I think what our team has learned is that success wasn't about clocking in and clocking out. Success was based off of outcome-based products. We work on Amazon, so everything that we do is outcome-based. And that was a measure of success for us, and we were able to really, truly push that forward at speed. Sometimes when we were hybrid, and when it comes to remote, it's taking that concept of being outcome-based, not ensuring that people were in at 9 and leaving at 5 or 6 o'clock, but really giving them the flexibility to do the things that they need to do to take care of their family and their self, for those that don't have family, and be in when it's time to spend time with the teams, right? It's finding reasons to be together. I remember earlier in the year when we talked about returning to office, someone said you kind of have to be a cruise ship director, where it's you have to have functions and have meetings set up so that people can feel like they're organically coming back, but it's really meetings that you're setting up so they can feel the benefits of that.
So I think the childcare thing is really interesting, because I also see more moms on my team bringing their kids into the office, because we were seeing them on the camera, and so it just doesn't seem weird at all to have kids in the office now, and it's totally fine, and they're busy and they're doing their homework. So we're just going to have to, again, continue to bring some of that flexibility along with us.
Where they talked about women in the workforce who choose to stay home and work hybrid or work remotely to raise children are going to be left behind, is what they're projecting. And I think that could easily happen to anybody, whether it's a working mom or someone who chooses to work remotely, because if there is a mandate for people to come back into the office, there will be functions that aren't going to be hybrid friendly, and being present and being vocal and having an opinion and a seat at the table means you actually have to be there. I think when there was a moment where we were working hybrid, I think we all juggled, right? How do you present in person and then to the screen? And as more and more people return to office, it's going to naturally go to being in-office dominant, where you're presenting to the dominant portions of the room, and we will be left behind, I think. And I hate saying that, because again, every being in my body wants to fight no, but it's true. I think it would be making sure that you know what your boundaries are and you're vocal about them, and sticking to it, because as soon as you let it slide, that becomes a slippery slope. And as long as your managers and your teams understand that, just like your workout hour, right? Like everyone knows not to set up a meeting, and that's a non-negotiable for Claudine. And whatever those boundaries are, you need to be really vocal about it, so that you can be 100% present. Like she doesn't want to be interrupted while she's biking or running.
I can do a meeting on the Peloton if I go off camera, though. I've done it before.
You could?
Yeah,
Wow.
I can do it. Yeah. I love what you said, Nancy, too, because it's not self-indulgent. The boundaries, you're actually modeling that behavior for your team, right? So we can feel as women this feeling of, oh, I shouldn't do that because I need to work harder, but actually you're doing your whole team a disservice if you're not taking care of yourself. And I think my advice would be just, a career is always a choice for anyone, but as a woman, it's viewed as a more unusual choice, but it's a choice that you need to honor that you've made and continue to find where you find energy in your life and not apologize for the choices you made. Not only because, you should do whatever your heart desires, but businesses need women leaders. Businesses, again, there's been a lot of other data around businesses succeed more and perform better when there are women in leadership roles. So industries need women to continue to work and continue to pursue their careers. So honor that choice, and don't forget that you got the job when you're in the room. So that would be my advice. Well, I mean, one of the simple things I do is I'll sometimes have just an out of office email. If there's a day that I know I'm doing a lot of writing, I'll just have I'll use the out of office thing to just have a message saying, I'm writing today, I'm working on a document, and so I won't be looking at emails until 3 p.m. So I'll do something like that, which just allows me to know that people know they can get me at a certain point, but it lets me just not look at the ping, ping, the constant messages coming in. I do have 2,456 unread emails, but I knew what they were by the subject. By the subject head, I knew what they were. A colleague was like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "No, I know what they all are.
Under
I don't need to read them. I don't need to read them." And so that's something that I found works pretty well. And so people will recognize. And if you're traveling, sometimes I think they can still reach you. But if you say, "I'm working on an urgent project on a deadline," I found that actually does get respect, and people will find a workaround.
The pressure of being always on, for me, has always existed, right? And someone told me that it's self-inflicted, and it's, again, setting those boundaries, which is why it's so important for people to set boundaries. I used to find myself always on, and I still do. I'm not gonna lie. Like we're on.
We're always on.
We're kind of always on.
I think you sent me directions to this meeting at like 3 a.m. Nancy, so.
We're always on. But I think setting those boundaries, and again, letting your teams know what those boundaries on. So sometimes I'll say, I'm emailing this. You don't need to look at it.
Sure.
It's for Monday, for whatever day it is, just because our schedules are varying all the time. But I really do think that those boundaries are really important. And not reaching out to my team members after hours is key. Like on a weekend, on a Friday night, like I try not to do that unless it's absolutely urgent.